What would you do if a wealthy stranger left you everything they owned? Sounds like a dream, right? Well, in this story, it's more of a nightmare.
Hey folks, Mahi here. Heads up, there are spoilers ahead, so grab your snacks and let's dive into today's story.
In Chicago, Katie Franklin is a waitress at a Chicago diner. She wakes up a sleeping customer, her husband, Adam Kettner, who has fallen asleep over his psychological theory and corporate analysis textbook. During Katie's break, the couple makes out in their car, wishing they could spend more time together. But both are so busy with work and studies, trying to make ends meet. Adam says he can't wait to provide for her the way she deserves. When they return to the diner, they witness it being robbed at gunpoint. Adam grabs a frying pan and subdues the robber, being hailed as a hero. The robber, who killed a busboy, is sent to prison. 4 months later, Katie is working as a caretaker for Leonard Wellesley, a wealthy and kind older man who lives alone in a very large house. Meanwhile, Adam has stopped taking classes in order to find a job but hasn't had luck yet. Student loans and credit card bills are piling up. Katie is stressed and frustrated. Adam assures her he'll take care of it, but it does nothing to make her feel better. Katie admits she hasn't been the same since the robbery. She told Adam not to go in there. He could have been killed, and she feels like he never listens to her. Katie goes to Leonard's house to think after her fight with Adam. Leonard approaches with a baseball bat, suspecting an intruder. He says he keeps thinking he's hearing someone walking around the house but never finds them. Katie assures him no one is in the house. She tells Leonard about her problems, and he offers to help her with her situation. Katie tells Leonard that Adam needs a job, and Leonard hires Adam to do some work tending to the lawn and gardening. While Katie is at Leonard's, Mickey Hayden, a real estate agent, comes to the door and tells Katie he represents a client who wants to buy the house. Katie tells him that Leonard has lived in the house his whole life and has no interest in moving but promises to relay the message. Later, Mr. Calvert from the Caretaker agency comes by the house for a drop-in visit on Katie and to meet Leonard. He tells the agency that Katie is doing a great job. When Katie opens her next paycheck from Leonard, she finds that it is wildly over what she is supposed to be paid. She realizes Leonard must have done it after hearing about her money problems. She feels she can't accept it and wants to return the check to Leonard, but Adam convinces her. Despite her reluctance, they cash the check, pay their bills, and plan to write Leonard a check to make up the difference. As they return home, Hayden appears to be watching them from his car. The next day, Katie goes to Leonard's and finds him dead, sitting in a chair in the attic next to his record player. Adam comes over to comfort her, and he begins looking through Leonard's belongings in the attic. He discovers a padlocked chest, which he unlocks to find old photos of Leonard and a woman. Hidden underneath is a wealth of pure cash. Since Leonard had no family, Adam tells Katie that Leonard wanted to help her and would have wanted her to have the money. Katie and Adam decide to take the money for themselves, believing it could make a difference rather than letting it go into the system. Katie warns Adam that they will have to be careful, and he assures her he will be. Detective Chisler arrives to investigate Leonard's death, but everything seems routine. Katie decides to return to the agency to get another job, even though Adam thinks she shouldn't need to. When Katie tries to get another assignment, Mr. Colburn informs her that, until the police finish their investigation, he can't put another client under her care. While Katie is interviewing, Adam goes back to Leonard's house to collect the money. As he does, Adam hears someone downstairs. He goes to check and notices a broken window before being violently hit from behind. When he awakens, he calls Katie, who admonishes him for not being careful and going to Leonard's house like he belongs there. Adam tells her he counted the cash, which amounts to close to $100,000. Katie and Adam try to figure out who broke in and wonder what the intruder might know. Fearing the person could return to Leonard's, they take the cash to the bank and place it in a safety deposit box, all while Mickey Hayden is still watching them. Detective Chisler brings Katie in for questioning. Katie mentions that Leonard wanted to be cremated, but Chisler informs her that, since Leonard had no family and no will, they don't know who will cover the costs. Katie decides to pay for Leonard's funeral. Shortly after, Katie and Adam are approached by Julia Bayer, who introduces herself as Leonard's attorney. Julia reveals that Leonard hired her a few weeks before his death to handle his will, and that he left everything to Katie. Shocked, Katie listens as Julia offers to stay on and help her through the transition. Since Leonard had paid her retainer, Julia emphasizes to Katie that she alone makes the decisions for the house, not Adam, and warns her that money changes people. Katie and Adam begin moving into Leonard's old house. Adam immediately wants to buy cars and go on fancy vacations, but Katie tries to get him to calm down. Just as tensions rise, Adam receives a call from the police, asking him to come down to the station to give another statement about the diner robbery. When Adam gets to the station, no one has any record of calling him. He runs into Detective Chiseler, who has no idea he was involved in the diner incident. She informs him that the assailant from the diner robbery was killed in his cell a few weeks prior. Meanwhile, Hayden comes to the house and again tries to convince Katie to sell it. She refuses. When he becomes aggressive and won't leave, she tells him she owns the house now. He accuses the will of being fake, and she threatens to call the police if he doesn't leave. Katie tells Adam she wants to call Julia, but Adam dissuades her. Later, Katie finds a brand new, expensive watch in the bathroom. Adam claims it's a knockoff, but Katie doesn't believe him. Detective Chiseler starts finding the situation suspicious. While checking out the diner, she decides to speak with Adam, but ends up running into Katie. Upon learning that Leonard left everything to Katie, Chiseler's suspicions grow. She asks Katie if Adam always came to pick her up at the diner. Katie explains that he usually came early and was studying. Chiseler then tells Katie the truth. No one from the police called Adam, a fact Adam never shared with her. When Adam sees Katie talking with Julia, he becomes angry, accusing her of breaking their agreement to avoid Julia. Katie retorts that he decided on that agreement, not her. Katie confronts Adam about not telling her about the phone call. He reveals that he's pretty sure he's being followed. Katie asks if he went to the bank and realizes that Hayden probably called him to the station to isolate her, giving Hayden the opportunity to come over and intimidate her. Katie theorizes that Hayden must know about the money. She reminds Adam that she warned him to be careful. Katie tells Adam that if the police discover they did something illegal, they could lose everything. She insists they need to put the money back, but Adam refuses, stating he won't go back to the way things were before. Detective Chiseler interviews Mr. Calvin at the Caretaker agency. He praises Katie for keeping meticulous notes on Leonard's medications, but is shocked when Chiseler shows him the large value check Katie deposited from Leonard the night before his death. He also wasn't aware that Leonard had hired Adam. Katie goes to the gardening shed looking for Adam. When she doesn't find him there, she begins searching around. She moves a shelf away from the wall and discovers a hidden room. Inside, she finds cash checks written out to someone named Ethan, a rotting corpse, and a bag of diamonds. Katie tells Adam that Leonard had a gardener named Ethan, who Leonard said had suddenly stopped showing up one day. Mr. Calvin shows up at the house, angrily accusing Katie of taking advantage of an old man and tarnishing the agency's reputation. Adam returns home with 2 brand new phones, but Katie insists he return them, and the diamonds. Adam claims that Ethan stole the diamonds, was shot, and died alone, and no one would know. Katie insists on calling Detective Chiseler, but Adam warns that they could lose everything if she does. Katie says that as long as they have each other, they'll be all right. But Adam refuses, saying he will never go back to how things were. He resolves to take care of everything. He gets rid of Ethan's body and burns the checks, which they suspect Ethan never cashed to avoid creating a paper trail. After hiding out following the theft of the diamonds, Adam hears an intruder in the house that night. He grabs a gun and jumps out to confront the intruder, who turns out to be Mr. Calvin. Shocked, Mr. Calvin falls backward down the stairs and dies. Chiseler comes to the scene and tells Katie that she knows none of this is her fault, but explains that everything about the situation seems suspicious. Leonard dying, being cremated, and then the will appearing only afterward, making it impossible to determine if Leonard died of natural causes. Chiseler asks Katie if Adam ever mentioned Ray Gaskin, the diner robber, and reveals that Gaskin was a janitor where Adam had been taking classes. She warns Katie not to let Adam take her down with him and urges her to come to her if she needs help. Katie meets with Julia and tells her about the entire situation. They go to the safety deposit box, only to find the cash missing. Julia warns Katie that Adam is planning to leave with the money and diamonds and throw her to the cops. Julia promises to try to stall Chiseler from obtaining a search warrant for the house. She tells Katie to make sure Adam stays put so that everything doesn't fall on her. Meanwhile, the police discover Ethan's body and alert Chiseler. Katie goes home and confronts Adam, who is packing up their things along with the money. Adam reveals that he looked up Hayden and discovered he's not a real estate agent, but an ex-con who was recently released after serving time for robbing a jewelry store. The heist involved $3 million in diamonds, and his partner, Ethan, whom Hayden shot, was never caught. Katie wants to call the police, but Adam insists they must flee immediately. Katie feels relieved that Julia was wrong and that Adam isn't leaving her. She calls Julia to tell her this, but Hayden suddenly appears and holds Katie at gunpoint. Hayden takes Katie hostage as Adam aims a gun at him. Hayden shoots Adam multiple times and then knocks Katie to the ground. Before Hayden can do more, Adam manages to fire several shots, killing him. Katie holds Adam in her arms, crying as he mutters something about the guard and then dies. Julia arrives and tells Katie they need to find the diamonds before the police arrive, or else Katie will be implicated. Katie realizes that Hayden must have read her book on Leonard's medications and killed him with an overdose. She wonders why Hayden shot Ethan. Julia, in a rant, exclaims how stupid someone would have to be to do that with $3 million in diamonds. Katie suddenly realizes she never mentioned the value of the diamonds. Julia grabs Hayden's gun and admits she had been Hayden's public defender. She reveals she pled him down to 2 years in his case. Julia confesses that she and Hayden had tried to track down the diamonds with Leonard, but they were unable to locate them. Julia insists she had no idea Hayden would kill Leonard, but explains that, when it happened, she had to think fast. Katie realizes the validity of the will might now be in jeopardy. Julia tries to reassure her, claiming that Leonard would have given her the house anyway. She begs Katie to tell her where the diamonds are hidden. Katie tells Julia that Adam hid the diamonds, but she doesn't know where, and even if she did, she wouldn't tell her. Julia, growing desperate, aims the gun at Katie. At that moment, Chiseler enters the scene. Julia attempts to shoot Chiseler, but Katie shoves Julia, causing Chiseler to fire back, killing Julia. Chiseler helps Katie out of the house. 4 months later, Katie is pregnant and working in her garden when Chiseler pays her a visit. Chiseler informs Katie that the case is closed and that Adam has been cleared as a suspect. Chiseler also reveals that the police searched extensively but never found the diamonds. As Katie turns on the sprinklers and heads inside, the water from the garden begins to wash away soil, revealing the diamonds. So that's it. If you enjoyed this movie, share your thoughts in the comments section below, and don't forget to check out the recommended movie on your screen right now. Watch it and join Mahi's movie recaps.